Hello to all my amazing podcast viewers. And I mean Miss Taylor and Miss Lee, because I don't think anybody else would want to listen to this. But here I am. Hello to all my amazing podcast viewers. And I mean Miss Taylor and Miss Lee, because I don't think anybody else would want to listen to this. But here I am, making another, because I'm being forced to, or told to, suggested to. I'll be discussing Aldous Huxley's Brave New Worlds. I don't actually know how to say his name. I probably should have Googled that before I started recording. But I'm here now, and that's what matters. First question, moving along. What is your overall opinion of the novel? A Brave New World was both interesting and also unsettling to me. The author presents a future where society is, instead of being controlled through fear or oppression, they're being controlled through pleasure, conditioning, and technology. The book challenges the reader to think about the consequences that come with sacrificing individuality for stability. Some parts of the book end up feeling a bit dense and packed with ideas, but I think the ideas that are explored are relevant today and provide a warning message for our potential future. I'd rate the novel a 5.5 out of 10. I do like dystopian novels in general, however, I also like faster paced books, and I like when the characters have more than just have, or I guess, have stories. The characters in this kind of serve as symbols, as they're not actually people anymore, and so I just don't really enjoy that. I would recommend the novel to people who enjoy philosophical discussions, dystopian books, and books that focus heavily on social critiques. But if you're looking for a fast paced plot or a book with deep character development, you're going to struggle to stay engaged. Next question. So, what literary devices are used in the novel? The author uses several literary techniques to enhance the novel's overall message. Firstly, symbolism. The author uses symbolism to represent a vast amount of ideas and give a vast amount of message, but my favorite was soma. Soma is a drug that represents the idea of escapism and control. So soma is, it gives you a sense of pleasure, gives you that instant gratification that humans so badly want, and it suppresses any sort of hate, which allows the government to maintain a social stability. As long as they're under soma, they'll never be upset. The book also has satire critiquing mass entertainment through creating, instead of having sex be intimate in this novel, sex is entertainment. It mocks consumerism through the soma, and just everybody's willing to buy it without even questioning it or what it does to them. They just say, yes, oh, I know this, I'll buy it. And then obviously political control by the government being named Henry Ford and the world state, or the Henry Ford ideology. And then lastly, irony. So the perfect society is actually pretty dystopian. It is not perfect at all. There's no feelings. Nobody can even think for themselves. Next question. What themes were depicted in this novel, and how are they developed? The first theme I noticed was control versus freedom. The government uses soma, drugs, and genetic humans to eliminate any sorts of sense of pain and struggle for humans, but in turn gets rid of any sort of individual thinking or individuality, sacrificing freedom. The next is, I think, the cost of happiness or the loss of true happiness. So people are sacrificing deep emotions for the stability of the world and the fake happiness. So they're sacrificing those important emotions like anger and sadness that every human needs in for the stability of the future in a fake sort of happiness. And then finally, technology and dehumanization. So in the book, the advanced science that was researched and learned is used to suppress rather than create or future doctors. The novel is written in a third person I can never say this word right, omniscient perspective, which allows the reader to see multiple perspectives of different characters and writers. It alternates between different characters and different settings to show the true breadth of the dystopian world. And I think something that I found interesting was the alternating between the more detailed, deeper meaninged clinical descriptions of the world state and then the personal, emotional moments, particularly with the character John the Savage. I think it did a good job of representing the clash between the controlled society and raw human nature. Moving on, what characters did you relate to? So I think I related a lot to Hamilton Watson. He was a writer who feels unfulfilled despite living in a so called utopia. And I think he represents the struggle between fitting into society and also wanting to create something meaningful with your life. I think during high school, I struggled a lot with that, trying to find the balance between fitting in and, making friends, but then also being willing to step out of that little comfort box to create something meaningful truly to you rather than others. Next question. So, what was challenging about reading the novel? Personally, the hardest part was the philosophical and scientific discussions and how much information, how dense they were. I had to Google a lot of a lot of the meaning, especially putting this together. I think also due to the characters not really having that much emotion, it's can be kind of boring and just it was a slower pace and it felt like it sometimes lacked any sort of emotional engagement. How did the novel impact your understanding of people, life, interconnectedness, religion, family, or another major theme? I think it made me reflect on the role of suffering in someone's personal growth and how important it is to suffer. After reading this, I it made me think about how in our modern society people are obsessed with entertainment. People are avoiding any sort of discomfort through their smartphones and through social media and through screens, staying distracted constantly. And then just how technology is really affecting our lives. It made me think about the question like, are we sacrificing depth and meaning for convenience and pleasure like this novel? Like it kind of feels like in our world we're kind of slowly going towards this. I mean, obviously, people still can think, but this whole idea of nobody being different can start to really be seen in social media, how everybody just kind of follows what's popular, what's done by this celebrity rather than what they want to do. And so I believe that I think it does a good job of reflecting that sort of idea of how technology is starting to impact our lives in a far greater negative way than we realized at first. Well, thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed that banger podcast. Hopefully, no more to come, but if so, make sure you tune in.